Welcome back to Remade in California. We are the show that explores people who are launching new careers and businesses or simply reinventing themselves. Joining us is Master Coach Bob Dickman, co-author of The Elements of Persuasion. Use storytelling to pitch better, sell faster, and win more business. So, Bob,
yes,
thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Your book talks about each of us having our own story. Tell me just a little bit about that.
Okay. We're hardwired to tell stories. We make sense of the world through the stories that we tell. Going back like 100,000 years or even further back, the advantage that we had of being able to communicate information through telling a story was enormous. Like, don't plant those crops until the full moon, otherwise you're wasting resources, or whatever. We could do that. We say, wait a minute, the bad guys are over there. Don't go over there. Go around that.
So that's how we relate.
Yes.
So how does that relate to us personally?
Well, we're a sense-making being. We want to make sense of our world, and stories give us that capacity to make sense of our world, and then we can proceed or not proceed. Otherwise, it's just chaotic.
So as you're reinventing yourself, do you need to change your story?
Then we need to tell a relevant story to that particular situation.
What are some of the obstacles they might have in coming up with a new story? I mean, I know I have certain kind of things. I think I'm a certain type of person, or how do you overcome those obstacles?
Well, you know, it's great because as a coach, I work with two things at once. One is the story we tell other people and helping my clients improve that story, but also what is the story or stories we're telling ourselves?
Oh, wow, okay.
The stories we tell ourselves that happen in a nanosecond, that we think we're seeing reality.
Is that internally? Or
yeah,
is that,
internally.
Okay.
They're very
voice
quick. Like,
in there.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
Or you know, I don't really like yellow.
Give me all 5 of the elements of persuasion.
Yeah, make me care, first one. Pull
passion.
The audience in. Passion, right. What's your unique point of view? You're standing on the earth in a unique place. No one else has your point of view. So you have something already unique. You got to articulate that.
Right.
Then what is the difficulty or the challenge that you are helping your client or the producers overcome?
If you're in business.
And you're in business.
Yeah.
How are you going to solve somebody else's problems for them so that then they get involved? They say, yeah, he really understands my struggle. And then the next thing is what needs to be learned. Awareness has to be increased in order to overcome that difficulty or that problem. If you do those first 4 things, it's very likely you'll get the job or people will sign up and say, you know what, I want to work with you, Pat.
Right.
You understand me.
Right. Yeah. And what's the 5th? Is that the payoff?
That's transformation.
That's the payoff.
That's the payoff. Right. Sign up or moving forward.
The aha moment.
Or coming to your workshop.
Right.
You know, they you know, that's it. They think, okay, I'll take a shot.
Using the same elements, you know, how did they reinvent their story to take maybe their past skills and apply them to a new life?
Right.
Have you done that? I mean, is that something that, can you think of a client that's kind of done that? I know I've done that.
Yeah. Well, you, for instance.
Did I just lead myself into talking about me? How did I do that?
So let's say that you were an accountant, but you've always had a passion for marine biology. Okay.
Perfect example.
And so you, but having the passion is enough. You have to activate that passion. You have to go out, get a boat, and go out into the ocean and start collecting samples or demonstrate that you're involved in that, and then see if that passion is still consistent.
So give me an example of a large corporation that utilizes storytelling well.
Well, what comes to mind is Nike.
Okay.
You know, Nike was really struggling in the early days, and it really wasn't until they found their brand story that things really clicked for them. Just do it. But what that really meant was that gave the company a focus, both externally and internally, that differentiated them from all of the other competitors that they had all around the world.
How do you evolve your story after 50?
Well, the good news is that you have more pattern recognition, more understanding of life after 50 than you do before 50. So you have more to draw on from your story.
Right.
The difficulty is that you may have internal negative stories about you're too old for this, or even more insidious, they think I'm too old, but I know I'm not. and how do I prove myself?
Right.
So what that does is it takes you out of your story, and now you're trying to understand a story that you don't really fully comprehend, which is their story about what you think they think about you, and you get really lost. So stay with patterns that you've recognized in your life from your experience.
So as our stories evolve, how do we shift identity?
I don't think it's such an easy thing to shift identity.
Okay.
But I think that with my clients, I recommend that they have some reflective process to really think about their life, to step back. It could be they go on long walks. Einstein took hot baths
Right.
and got ideas that way. Meditation of some form.
Okay.
There are a lot of different ways of doing that. But in that process, you stepping back, what are the stories that are running that have really helped you? What are the stories that have given you strength and have helped people understand? How can you take the strengths of those stories and adapt it to new situations?
And I know sometimes you have to release stories too. I
Yeah.
mean, ones that you were used to. I know you and I act, and I know when I first went on some of my first auditions, I would go into the casting room and I would talk about being a former executive at Disney,
Yeah.
expecting them to be impressed,
Yes.
and expecting them to want to talk about that. And they were like, yeah, that's whatever. Can you act?
Next, yeah.
And
Read the lines.
So I quickly knew that they don't care about that.
Yeah.
And so, to be,
Yes,
for me at least, it was to be adaptable enough to not have my ego tied up in an old identity
Right.
that is no longer relevant to what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up a really good point, which
Yeah.
is the guts that it takes to fail. Because when you're trying something new, especially if it's anything to do with entertainment, which is hyper competitive, you're going to fail.
Right.
You're not going to get any roles.
It's the old Edison experimentation thing.
Yeah.
10,000 things
Right.
before I find
Right.
filament.
Right. So do you have, so that it really brings to something really interesting, which is courage. Do you have the courage to fail and see it as a learning process and take from that failure a little gem of truth that you're going to change and you're going to try something new the next time?
Right.
Or do you just get overwhelmed by the failure and say, okay, that's not for me?
For more information about Bob and to find his book, The Elements of Persuasion, visit first-voice.com. And for more information on how California's community colleges can help you be remade in California, go to doingwhatmatters.cccco.edu. See you next time.